Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Random Ramblings. This is going to be episode 3. I noticed just today that I lost a subscriber on YouTube. And that's okay. I'm not upset about it. I genuinely hope that whoever unsubscribed from me, I genuinely wish the best for them, whoever they are. And I'm going to take a guess and say that they subscribed to me because of a very old video I made of a Stargate simulation program. It's 12 years old, and it's the oldest video on my channel that is there. They probably subscribed because of that, but then didn't like the antinatalism and right to die talk, so they unsubscribed. That is probably what happened. I don't really know for sure, I'm just speculating. But it's possible. All I can say for sure is I used to have a lot of fun playing around with that Stargate simulator, where you could use the computer to dial to different planets, send Stargate teams to explore them, and the teams would always come back through the Stargate. Yeah. And the teams would always come back through the Stargate, based on whatever amount of time you gave them to come back. Man, when I was talking earlier, I almost bit my tongue. Just another stupid thing about the human body. So easy to bite the inside of your mouth just by talking or eating. Like that is some demiurgic design right there. Absolutely, it is. Right now I'm sipping on a beer and trying to relax. And it's helping. I haven't drank a whole lot of the beer, but it is a strong one. So I've just been sipping on it lightly here and there, and I am feeling a nice buzz from it. But going back to Stargate, I always liked the Stargate movie from '94 and the Stargate SG-1 TV series that came afterwards. And yeah, I liked Atlantis and Universe 2, but I liked SG-1 the best out of all of the Stargate shows. And despite the fact that there are people who like the '94 movie but hate Stargate SG-1, I am not one of those people. I just find ways of enjoying both in my own different ways. That's all I can really say, even though I haven't watched them in a very long time. What I liked the most about Stargate was that on SG-1 in particular, and in the 1994 movie, the ancient gods that people once worshipped were all part of an alien race called the Goa'uld. And what they were these alien parasites that would infect human hosts, wrap around their spinal cord, and take possession of their body almost like a demon. And then they had these slave armies called Jaffa. And the Jaffa were just incubator hosts for the larvae of the Goa'uld. And I thought it was a really cool concept, making the ancient gods aliens like that. I do wish the Abrahamic God would have been one of those Goa'uld in the show. Because the way he behaves in the Bible is very much like an evil alien overlord would behave if it was pretending to be a god and intentionally deceiving primitive human tribes, we'll say. Which is pretty much what the Goa'uld did when they were on Earth in the days of ancient Egypt, in the Stargate universe. Now, I'm trying to avoid spoilers from the movies and shows of Stargate. I just wanted to say that, I once loved those shows. I guess I'm not sure what else to talk about right now. Because it was kind of fun geeking out a little bit about Stargate. That was kind of nice. Well, I suppose if I need another topic to talk about, there are some that I could choose. I could talk about the weather. I am a bit of a weather nerd, and I am interested in storm chasing. I have gone storm chasing in the past with a friend of mine, but it was a very long time ago, and we never actually saw any tornadoes. But that is only because we were chasing the wrong storm. The storm that actually produced a tornado was 15 to 20 miles away from us or something like that. Maybe even more. I don't know. Because here in our state of Michigan where we were, there were 3 supercells moving together. We were chasing one of them, and all it did was produce a lot of lightning and some hail, but the one that produced the tornado was not the one we were following. Would have been cool to see a tornado and get a picture of it or a video. We did get pictures of the clouds, and that was interesting. We saw the lightning come down out of the sky and strike the ground. That was pretty awesome. But if I do ever go storm chasing again, I'm half tempted to just drive my car directly into the vortex. Just let the tornado do its worst. And while that would be a scary way to go out, if it did happen, it's just an idea that I have in my head sometimes. The idea of dying in a tornado on purpose. But of course, I would have to be in the right place at the right time to go storm chasing, to see the right kind of tornado to actually do something like that. And even then, I may hesitate a little because, let's face it, dying in a tornado has got to be one of the worst ways there are. And there's also a possibility of surviving with horrible injuries. So I don't know that I really necessarily want to actually drive my car into a tornado. I've just had moments where I have wanted to do that. Well, I went quiet again. I ran out of stuff to say again, I guess. Maybe this will end up being a much shorter random ramblings than the previous ones. I don't know. I might even just stop this recording and then come back with another one and continue when I have more to say. That might be what I'll do. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back with another recording. So stay tuned for that. Okay, I'm back. Now that I had a nap for a few hours. I had stuff to say, and then because I had a lot out of my mind before I started recording this, but probably the main thing I was thinking about was my YouTube channel that I have. And why I call it Robert Migraine. That's just an alias. It's not actually my name, obviously. I've been thinking about changing the name of my channel to Angry Pumpkin Guy. Just because that's kind of what I am. I'm an angry person who loves Halloween and jack-o'-lanterns, so Angry Pumpkin Guy might be a good name for me on YouTube if I change it to that. I just don't know. For now, I'll keep the channel the way it is. Oh, I know what the other thing I wanted to say was. In the last video that I made for the one called The Ones Who Have Suffered, or Those Who Have Suffered Too Much. Yeah. I was going to use some Motocross Madness footage to go with that video, but the game crashed in the middle of me recording it, so it's just text on the screen now. You know, I really do feel like I am one of those people who has suffered too much in this life. More than I ever should have had to. And it is simply a fact that all of my problems started at day one. You know, that's where all the problems started. I was never meant for this world. I guess I can't say that I've always hated it here. But there were definitely a lot of periods in my life where I did hate it here. So I can honestly say for me that the suffering I've experienced has been greater than the good things I've experienced in this life. And even saying that, I understand people have suffered far, far worse than me. And I feel bad for those people too. And the animals. I really do. I can't fix it. But I wish I could, you know. Sometimes I wish I could just turn into Superman and fix things, but I can't do it. It doesn't work like that. I'm going to be hanging out with one of my cousins tomorrow. I got him some beers to try if he wants to. That's going to be interesting. We're both alcoholics, so we'll probably have a good time together. Not in a sexual way, because we're cousins, but in just a drinking alcohol and playing video games kind of fun way, you know? That's what we want to do. Yep, just play video games and drink some alcohol, you know? That's the fun stuff we want to do. Don't really know for sure what video games we're going to play just yet. I may have some ideas of some games he wants me to play on his Nintendo Switch that I'm going to try out. But I got some games of my own on my computer that I might have him try. I might have him try playing Grounded to see what he thinks of that, if my computer can handle running it. But Grounded really is a good game. For people who haven't played it, I do recommend they try it, if they have a gaming system or a PC that can run it well enough. And while I can't remember if I've said it on this channel before or not, the game Grounded is basically where your character is shrunken down really small in the backyard of a mad scientist's house. And all of the insects and the spiders are huge. You know, and you gotta make hammers and axes, armor, things like that. You gotta smash acorns open and use the acorn pieces to build stuff. You got to chop down blades of grass. And you can build bases out of blades of grass and weed stems, which is actually pretty cool if you think about it. Yeah, maybe later today I'll play a little bit of Grounded again, see if my computer can handle it okay. Because there were a couple times where I tried to play the game and it just didn't want to run right. It was just so laggy. But other times it runs great. So we'll see how it runs if I try playing it today for a little while. I'm not going to hang out with my cousin until tomorrow. But yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Oh, I was going to eat something a little bit ago. I was going to have bread and chili beans dumped on top of it, but I never got around to eating it because my sinuses were draining down my throat again and I gagged on it, so now I'm afraid to eat anything. I'm afraid to drink any more beer. It makes it hard to actually enjoy things that I enjoy when I have this kind of health problem. And it's such a rare problem that most people don't even understand what it's like. And it probably can only be fixed by surgery. Like, what the hell is this, man? What is this nonsense that I'm experiencing? It was the bane of my existence in my childhood, but I did get a surgery to fix this once. Back in 2013, I had a surgery done on my nose. And for a few years, I actually did not have this problem, but it came back with a vengeance. Especially after I started smoking cigarettes. My sinuses did not like it. Now, I'm not judgmental towards people who still smoke. I'm just saying that, you know, when I quit smoking cigarettes, I had to do it for myself. You know. For one thing, I just didn't really like them anymore like I did at the beginning. But also, they were making my sinus problems worse, so I would have needed to quit them anyways. Just because of that. But my experience with cigarettes started way back in 2023, in September. I started out just trying a couple different kinds. And what I would do is I'd smoke 2 or 3 cigarettes a day in the first few days to a week or so. And then I gradually smoked more and more and more and more until sometime around, we'll say, early spring, we'll say, of 2024, I was smoking a pack and a half a day. And they just weren't doing anything for me. And then after that, that's where I crested in the middle. So then I kind of started to go downhill again with the smoking cigarettes. So by March of 2025, I was only smoking maybe 1 cigarette on a weekend once in a while. And I had bought a pack in January and barely even smoked half of it in 2 months. And then I quit sometime in March. I just stopped liking them. That's all it was. You know, the whole point of this video is not to be saying, you should quit smoking cigarettes. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I stopped liking them. And so I stopped smoking them. Now I have new addictions. Now I got beer. And sometimes whiskey. Even though I was drinking that stuff at the same time as smoking cigarettes. But the alcohol is something that I'm never going to cut out of my life. Nope. I will probably have less of it at times, but I'm not going to cut it out entirely. It's just not going to happen. I try to drink the alcohol in moderation, but some days it's difficult to do that. Some days I want a little more than what I think moderation would actually be for myself. Sometimes I really want to get smashed from the alcohol. I ran out of stuff to say again. I suppose I could just end this recording here like I did before and then start a new recording later, but at this point, this might be a decent length for a random ramblings video. Maybe for one of these in the future, I will put some Motocross Madness footage in it, or maybe I'll even just put an actual video in it of myself talking, instead of just recording the audio on Audacity like I've been doing. Because when I started out making antinatalist content and Right to Die content, originally I had started out using a digital voice recorder and just recording my thoughts on that. But since then I switched over to using a microphone in my computer to record, so I use Audacity now. I do hope people like my random ramblings videos. Sometimes I run out of stuff to say and it's hard to think, and then other times the ideas just come to me. Like in the previous couple of videos where I talked about the ancient Greeks a little bit, the Romans, I talked about them. That was kind of interesting. Talked about Celsius and Fahrenheit and how they cross over at negative 40 degrees. That was interesting. So, I've been enjoying making these random ramblings. I just hope that other people can enjoy them as well as I do. But regardless of how I feel about the random ramblings videos, I still believe in the right to die above anything else. The right for somebody to peacefully end their existence. That's something I believe in wholeheartedly. And if we don't have the option to peacefully do that, then I see life as a prison sentence. And I guess I can leave the video with those final thoughts. Sometime in the next week or two, I'll probably make another video. I don't want to get too repetitive, and I want to at least come up with new topics to talk about in the future. Not just for random ramblings, but for just regular rant videos in general. But I'm not planning on making anything immediately. It's just that I want to say, for people who actually are interested in my content that watch my videos, I just want you to know that I haven't suddenly quit making them. It's just that I'm not going to be making them for a week or two. Maybe a month. It really depends. But I will be coming out with more random ramblings because I have definitely enjoyed making those. So I guess, thanks for listening. If you liked this, good. If you disliked it, also good. Good for you, I guess. I don't know what to think about that. I'm not making this this content for everybody. I'm making it for people who understand where I'm coming from. But that's all I have to say for now, so thanks.